So we're back with another match ramble, and today we're going to be talking about an AEW Dynamite match. Yes, from a few years ago. We're going to be talking about Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley in their steel cage match on AEW Dynamite. Now, this is going a while back. This is going back, obviously, to Kenny and Don Callis era, which we'll talk about in the match. But also just Kenny's feud with Moxley, which, honestly, I've just kind of been reminiscing on, and I just wanted to kind of go and talk about that again. So, the match itself, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's so many other Kenny and Jon Moxley matches, and they've got great chemistry. But I really want to talk about this one, because one, it was not the longest, but also it's just, I feel like Kenny Omega having these steel cage and these deathmatch, all these sorts of things, is such a sight to behold, because he's so damn good at it too. But he very rarely does them, so when he does, I always feel like a bit more of a actual, oh my god, it's more of a novelty. So, the match basically starts, and these two obviously get, no time wasted and start beating the shit out of each other straight up. And then, as it evolves, Kenny very early on gets into a chair. So, basically, the match isn't the most gory shit, it's not. But it's just brutal in the sense of for Kenny and for obviously Moxley too. Now, one, I got a surprise Bryan jump scare. I was very happy about that. And then also Don Callis is outside too. Bryan's on commentary, but Don's outside and he's cheering Kenny on. Now, during the match, like I say, Kenny and Jon just beat the shit out of each other. As I say, like, a lot of the connections here are nastily good. Like, so good. You got Kenny's V-triggers, got such a great impact on them. Moxley, obviously, with his strike, and same with Kenny's striking here, admittedly. But a lot of Kenny's reversals, such as the Snapdragons, specifically with his V-triggers, are really at the start of the show here. But Moxley's such brutal nature, frankly, of just the weight that Moxley does, and how this is Moxley's element, you know what I mean? So, it's very much that kind of anticipation of, like, Moxley's going to turn it up and up and up, and can Kenny survive that? Like I say, so Kenny and Moxley start beating the hell out of each other, and then Kenny gets a chair wrapped in barbed wire from the ring, and smacks it on Moxley and does a jump on it, like to stab it into Moxley's back. Moxley's obviously hurt, and you see the blood coming out of his back. And then they start playing with this chair. Kenny starts whacking Moxley with the chairs you expect, and the match kind of continues. The main thing after this is Moxley hurts Kenny and then goes to the under the ring, gets the wrench, and then goes to do the not the turnbuckle, but the thing that's connecting the turnbuckle. And then he's doing that, and Kenny keeps trying to come up to him, and Moxley keeps beating him away. And he eventually takes it up and starts whacking Kenny with it. It's very similar to, I forget what match it was. We talked about it, where it's like they used that. I think it was the Anarchy in the Arena, the first ever one actually, where Jake Hager used it on Bryan. So during that's basically, he's whacking him with the steel pole with the turnbuckle on it. The rope, the top turnbuckle's gone. The ref's going, come on, John, that's too far. It's like a steel cage match. Fuck out of here. And then Kenny's obviously hurt. And then Moxley gets this bag. And this bag, he pours it out. Real glass. And when it's the real glass, obviously, Moxley's pouring it out. And then Kenny's obviously going for it and goes to hit Moxley in it. Kenny and Moxley both eventually get hit in it towards the end, obviously. I'm missing some other shit because there's kind of there's not a pace to it. There's a great pace to it, actually. It's a very quick match. Which, even though it's like a 15-minute match, but it really has this oomph to it. It has this kick. It has this extra flair to it. The fact that it is a lot of steel cage matches, one of my favourite matches ever, regardless if it's a steel cage or not, is Swerve Hangman 3. And that match is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal match, but it's a half an hour, 40-minute match, which it deserves to be, because it's so very much, we're going to do a big thing, then you're going to be stunned, so we're going to have like a 5-minute walk-off, and obviously it's a recover and stuff. This isn't that, because it's not trying to be, but it's making you that brutality. Again, Moxley can very easily convey that, but then Kenny being able to do this, I don't know if it was Kenny's first match. I think the Exploding Barbed Wire was first. I forget. But it really shows another side to Kenny, which, just further cements his status of being as good as he is. He's incredible. Kenny does obviously, you cannot escape very early on. That was brutal. He does that on top of the start, actually. That was brilliant. Kenny, the V-triggers are ridiculous. He does these V-triggers that, they do not shy away from Moxley's face at all. There's a lot of Kenny striking here, but whenever Moxley hits him, it does kind of turn away straight away. What I do like is Kenny goes for like this move towards the towards off the ropes, and Moxley just throws him towards the cage wall, which was really good. I just shit like that, like, you know what I mean, like whenever it feels like it feels like a definition, ironically enough, because it's a very early era AEW match. It feels like a classic definition of this is what AEW is supposed to be, where it's a mesh of these two different styles. Kenny being this athletic New Japan, you know, incredible guy, and then Moxley being the deathmatch guy, you know, merging these worlds. And obviously at the time of WWE guy, very much merging these worlds, and it just shows, one, how good these two are, but also the chemistry and just everything about it. It really conveys that to me, and that's why I love it. So the finish, I adore the finish. So Kenny and Moxley are both going. So Kenny hits Moxley with a nasty V-trigger, and then so Moxley's on the ropes essentially, and then Kenny runs up, and he just goes bang, hits him with a V-trigger, but Moxley goes flying into the cage. The cage wall comes out. It's fucking nuts. It's sick. Oh, one thing Moxley does early on, he does the kicking of the head in for Bryan. That was peak as hell, because there's BCC era. And then so basically Moxley and Kenny are both outside the ring. They're both absolutely fucked. Moxley's clearly going, how long's left? So then Kenny gets hit out. He's outside the ring too. And then, as this point, Moxley's trying to drag Kenny back into the ring. And you can see the cameraman, and he just grabs one of the engineers, grabs a screwdriver, and just fucking pushes him away, launches him away. And everyone's like, whoa, and then Moxley's going back into the ring. And then Kenny, this is where Kenny manages to reverse. Oh, no, wait. So at this point, so Kenny's like still phased out, and Moxley's got the screwdriver ready to hit Kenny. And then Don Callis enters the ring, because obviously the steel cage obviously turns down so what Callis can get in. And Callis takes the fucking screwdriver off Kenny. It's like, oh, fuck. Then Kenny hits Moxley when Moxley's looking at Don Callis. And Kenny gets the one wing, hits the one wing. 1, 2. Don Callis breaks it up with the screwdriver on Kenny. He fully turns on Kenny. The stadium goes, what the fuck? Hits Kenny with the screwdriver. Moxley takes the win and takes the pin. There's clearly no alliance between him and Don. Obviously, we know how that goes. But that was the finish. I thought, obviously, again, we're not going to talk about the story too much in terms of like how it's building up and stuff. I really enjoyed this. I think for a a steel cage match, it's very unique. Very unique. And I think for a steel cage match as well, to have... did I say very unique? Sorry, I felt very unique. I don't know what I said. I feel like what it really does well is it really conveys, one, how good Jon Moxley is, but also it really gets across that steel cage. You're locked in with these two, and that's what I really enjoy. I think a lot of steel cage matches really go for brutality, and as they should, that's part of this appeal. But it does kind of, you know, the locked-in nature's kind of the point, and that's what I really do like about it. This match really conveys how good these two are. The chemistry between these two, I'd need to cover more matches between them. They're so good. But these two, I love Jon Moxley. I love Kenny Omega. I love this match. Obviously, the Don Callis turn on Kenny is such a well-worked maneuver too. Obviously, this is leading from a long time of Don and Kenny being cool. And obviously, you know, forever we're going to be in that feud. You know what I mean? That's kind of how this world works now with AEW. Don and Kenny will forever hate each other. And just, I like, obviously, the one problem, bias, Bryan should have been more involved. Bryan should have ran out. But that would have been cool, but hey-ho. Imagine that. But either way, this match has it's not one of those matches where you can sit there and go, okay, this detail. It's not the match with the most depth or anything. It's not. But what it has is, again, it's got that personality, it's got that standout factor, and frankly, it's one of those matches you just want to watch a good wrestling match. You just want to put something on to enjoy and just, you know, not like... It's just an enjoyable match. It really is just an enjoyable match. It's a great TV match. It feels wild that we got Kenny and Moxley in a steel cage on TV. That's insane to me. That's actually nuts. But either way, as an actual match, bell to bell, it really surprised me how good I liked it. Again, the speed is great, as you expect from this era of Kenny. But in general, the speed is great. Moxley, obviously, deathmatch, no fucking brainer. It's going to be good. But either way, I like this a lot. I thought this was a great match. I think it's probably not Kenny and Moxley's best, but Jesus, the fact that this isn't their best is great. It's not like, again, out of all the match rambles I've done, it's not like the greatest. It's not the best Kenny or Moxley match I've seen of either of them. But it's an excellent match. It's really fucking good, and I honestly, I hope, it's up to my decision. I want to cover more on Kenny and Moxley, but also, I just love this. I loved how this sums up. Again, AEW is my favorite company. I've said this, like, I think that's kind of obvious with the shit that I do, but this kind of just epitomizes that. It's a great pivotal moment, and honestly, it's a really good match. It's on YouTube for free, so I watched it. Yeah, highly recommend. Definitely a great match. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley in a steel cage on AEW Dynamite. Let me know what you think of the match below. What's your opinion on Kenny and Moxley's whole rivalry, actually? And let me know what you actually want me to cover next, because I feel like I asked that a lot and no one actually suggests matches a lot of the time. So yeah, let me know what you think.